No plan survives first contact with reality, but that's not a reason to say that you don't need a plan. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Chatting Transformation, the business podcast designed to make your change and transformation journey that little bit easier. I'm Barry, and I've been doing change and transformation activities for around about 20 years now, and I've worked right from the most junior roles up to leading some significant change and transformation activity. And I'm using this podcast to pass on my knowledge, my experience, my opinions, the lessons I've learnt, and also the academic research I've undertaken to hopefully make at least one person's journey that little bit easier. And welcome back to Governance and Controls Week. In episode 13, we introduced governance and controls, and I listed the 4 key areas that are critical to successful delivery. They were planning, RAID, finance, and reporting and decision making. And I also talked about how when we're implementing and running those through the life of the programme, we want to ensure that they are adding value. And we talked about the idea of value add governance and controls. And what we mentioned was it was about finding that sweet spot where you're asking people within the programme to do enough governance and controls that it makes a difference in a positive way, but that we don't ask people to do stuff that is adding no additional value. Or else you'll end up just doing governance and controls and not being able to get on with the actual delivery of the initiative. So today I'm going to deep dive into the first one of those topics, which is planning. Now, decent planning is the backbone of any change and transformation initiative, and it is applicable to all methodologies, both waterfall legacy ways of doing things and also more modern agile methodologies. Agile is not an excuse not to plan. There's always a plan behind it. What I'm going to focus on today is more of the waterfall scenarios, but I will touch on where there's something relevant to Agile. I'll highlight it. Now, the key thing to understand with planning is milestones. And a milestone is kind of exactly what it says on the tin. It's a specific point within a project or an initiative that's used to measure the progress towards the ultimate goal. So obviously it comes from the old-fashioned milestones that you used to have on road signs that used to say, 15 miles to go, 14 miles to go, etc. It is a specific point in time or progress, and it is not a phase or banding, and I'll talk a little bit more about why that's important, but it has to be a specific point, and generally in a programme I won't tolerate a milestone that's any bigger than 1 day. Now, when we put our programme plan together, we create milestones and we put them in a hierarchical nature, and the lower the number, the more strategic in nature they are. So we usually see initiatives with milestones ranging from level 0 to anywhere down to level 3 or 4. And that level 0 is that high level strategic milestones or set of milestones, and then level 1 has a little bit more detail and a bit more information. Level 2 a bit more again, starts to spread out, more level 2s, and then you get into the real detail of activity with 3s and 4s. And some of the 4s add up to give you a 3, and some of the 3s then add up to give you a 2, and some of the 2s add up to give you a 1. Eventually some of the 1s add up to give you a level 0 milestones. That's how the relationship is built. And when we are first putting our plan together and working out what our milestones are going to be at the start, they generally align to what we call a work breakdown structure. So we go from what are we trying to achieve, i.e. the level 0 milestones, or in fact the overall benefits, the outcomes, etc., and we work it all down to the level of activities, and then as we capture that we're able to allocate milestones and understand hierarchically how they come back together. So level 0 milestones are a must for any initiative, and generally they are the high level plan or roadmap for the programme. They are effectively part of the headline information for the initiative. And when I say programme, I'll use programme, project, initiative interchangeably. What I mean is your change and transformation delivery that we're talking about. So when we talk about level 0, we're thinking the really high level stuff you would announce to the company or maybe to the shareholders or senior stakeholders. So if we're talking about a new way of doing something, it could be the new system is now in place, or we're starting this, or there's a point in the middle where we're shutting down a really major way of doing something to look at how we do something differently. So the really big headline things that are going to happen in the program. Now, they're also captured in the business case generally. So special care needs to be given when identifying and validating the level 0 milestones, because don't forget, I'll do a deeper dive into the business case in its own episode in the future, but effectively the business case is the contract between the SRO and the investing authority or investment authority, saying, I would like these resources and in return I'm going to deliver this program. And when they said I'm going to deliver this program, the level 0s are, and here's my high level roadmap or the big deliverables that you can expect. Because they're captured in that business case, if it comes to ever needing to change or update them, you're going to have to resubmit the business case to the investment authority. So take some time to really think about what the level milestones need to be. There still need to be specific dates, as specific as possible, but you need to balance having enough information in there for the investment committee to be able to hold you to account, to be comfortable that you are giving them clear information about what's going on, and also don't forget you can use your business case internally to drive progress in the program. So you need enough information in there to turn around to your resources and say, hey guys, come on, we're delivering this and this is what we've committed to. What I would say though is you don't need much more than 5, maybe 6 level 0 milestones, because the more information you put in there, the more detail you are committing to, and we'll talk in a little bit about how plans change during the course of delivery. So that's your level 0s. I've talked about if you need to, down the line, if you need to change anything, you're going to have to resubmit that business case. So to just be really careful. All too often I've seen the business case kind of written without the plan being done, level 0 milestones committed to, and then it causes complete havoc because you've got unrealistic level 0s in the business case because they're not actually based on having done the analysis of the plan. Everyone's then trying to rush the plan. And the reason it's been built in that way is to make it achievable, so you're trying then forcing it to be almost unachievable, and you just end up with this really unnecessary messy situation. So set yourself up for success from the start and be really careful about the level 0 milestones. The next level sitting below those are the level 1s. Now, how you decide to choose what constitutes a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, etc. is going to depend on a whole host of variables that are specific to your initiative. So it could be the size, the complexity, or it could be organisational. It could be the culture, it could be down to delivery capability or the maturity, or there may be other things like your organisation has a set way of doing things and you need to adhere to that, or it might not have anything and you have complete freedom. So what is critical is that the level 1s effectively align to then culminate to deliver the level 0 milestones. So you'll maybe have 4 or 5 level 1s and they give you a milestone, it's a level 0 milestone, and you have probably another 3 or 4 and they give you a level 0 milestone. So you can start to see how a level 0 breaks down into component parts with the level 1s. Now in my last program, we had just put in a stage gate delivery process for IT. So what I mandated to the 3 programs that were coming through, both mine and 2 others, was we would effectively use those stage gates of the delivery mechanism as our level 1s. So think exiting design stage, exiting build, exiting test, exiting go live. Eventually there'll probably be an exit, operate and maintain, or whatever. But we had developed a framework with stage gates, and we very much aligned the level 1s to those so people could see then the progress at the level 1s at their level. But you can use whatever works best for your initiative and organisation. You may be subject to rules and regulations in your organisation, or you may have that freedom, but really think about how best to do it, because you've got to deliver it. Don't forget, everything in a milestone needs to be tangible and evidential. Right, level 2, it's treated in similar to level 1 in that you take the level 1 activity and you break it down further into its component parts and deliverables, and a set of level 2s will contribute to a level 1 completing, etc. And again, down to how you want to do it in your organisation. What I did was within our stages of our gated delivery model, basically we had sub-stages. So if I take the test was a level, completion of test was a level 1 milestone, but we might have a level 2 systems testing start, system testing complete, UAT start, UAT complete, and so on. So you have got very definitive things that happen on a specific day. So we're not saying testing is a milestone, we're saying the stage get to exit testing is a milestone, and therefore the start of a specific type of testing is a milestone, and the end of a specific type of testing is a milestone. And once you've completed all testing, all the various testing at the level 2 milestones, we can then tick off the level 1. So, and then we're getting more towards the go live, and then the system being available, which was the level 0. So that's how I would do the level 0s, level 1s and level 2s, and how I've done them in the last couple of iterations, but that's just because that model has worked for them. But for all my clients, whenever I'm supporting initiatives, I always mandate that we have and report at least level 0 to 2, because that's generally the type of information that needs to be recorded, reviewed, understood, reported. It's also the type of information that, or the correct level of information, where senior program resources, so the program manager, if there's a program director, SRO, senior business leads, that's where they're going to be focusing their attention, and where decisions are going to come up that they're going to have to make. So it might be that a level 2 is late, which means a level 1 is going to be slightly delayed. That all is the kind of stuff that they're going to be talking about and having to make decisions around, because that can very quickly become a level 0 is going to be delayed, and the SRO has to go back to the investment committee. With levels 3 and 4, if you get to that much detail in your program, that breaks it right down into really detailed activities, and it can be almost like what's happening per day or per week in the program. I tend to leave those levels of information to the project managers. I let them decide if they want to have levels 3s and levels 4. I like them to have at least a level 3 because it's a project level plan. But if they want to go to level 3 and level 4, to what nth degree they want to do it, it's up to them. They've got to manage it. What I mandate is that when we're reporting, and this is where the risks and issues bit comes in, if there's anything that threatens the completion of a level 2, and then it gets escalated up for us to discuss. So once you have your plan and your program starts, and you've got your level 0s, 1s, 2s, and then 3s and 4s if you want them, as we know, no plan survives first contact with reality, and things are going to change. The first thing you want to do really early on in the program is baseline your plan, and that's effectively like locking the plan down so that people can't constantly make alterations and changes to it without going through a proper governance process that highlights those changes and takes them into account for all of the other controls. And if I give you an example, we have a RAID item that comes to light during delivery, and that results in a milestone that will be delivered late, which could also then have a knock-on effect of an increase in cost because we have to pay a supplier for an extra week or something like that. That needs to be properly understood, and a proper decision made on how we're going to respond to that. So we're going to just manage it and take the hit and put some more money in, or what are we going to do about it? So all of that would be identified we'd start to know about it through the RAID reporting process, etc. But it would culminate potentially in needing to change that milestone. And that's where change control comes in. So change control is the way that any amendments to the baseline plan are communicated and decided upon. It's designed to stop the plan from being constantly amended and changed, and therefore prevents control from being lost. So you baseline it, you lock it down, and then if anyone wants to make any changes after baselining, they go through the change control process, which goes through the meetings, and everyone's involved in discussing what the impact of the change is, and everyone knows. Because don't forget, you might change a milestone, but there might then be a dependency from another milestone, or even externally from another program, on a specific deliverable that's being altered. So we have to be very careful with this. That isn't a reason not to baseline the plan. If you don't baseline the plan, you just end up in chaos, and it's constantly being altered, and there's no single version of the truth. So you need to baseline it to get that single version of the truth and protect it. That doesn't mean change control is a bad thing. It just means change control needs to be done properly. So I've seen some really badly designed and implemented change control processes, and generally whenever I hear change control, I just feel dread, because it's one of the most hated things in the world of change and transformation. It's because there can be so much bureaucracy involved. So quite rightly, there's a bit of documentation and a bit of explaining as to why we need to go through it, and then there's decisions to be made and all of that kind of stuff. And many initiatives quite quickly end up being a change control factory, and your meetings end up just being about changing the plan. And then you're using up precious time and resource with what actually is a lot of nugatory admin of an ever-changing plan, because the more change you do, you've then got the knock-on effect, stuff is always getting late. Because you're doing change control, you're not focusing on... Change control is kind of dealing with it after it's happened and after it's affected your plan. If you can get ahead of that and deal with your risks, assumptions, your issues, the dependencies ahead of the game, then actually that minimises the amount of change control you should need to do. But so many people get it the other way around, and it's just miserable for everyone involved. But what I would say is, if you do that and you do that upfront piece and get ahead with your raids and your finance and all of that kind of stuff and managing them, then actually you can reduce it. The other thing you can do that I've done previously in programs is you can design it taking into account the level of certainty that you have about the future plan. So in a previous program, we were always fairly certain of what was happening within like the next 3 months, but the program was part of a really big financial services regulatory piece, and actually the regulator was writing the rules as we went along, so we were often getting stuff at the last minute and then having to change the plan accordingly. That was generally stuff coming out, we'd know about it about 6 months ahead, and we'd generally get the right information around about the 3 month point. So we knew within the kind of 0 to 3 month horizon that things weren't going to change. So we made a decision, which was the level 0 milestones for the life of the program are baseline. They have to be, they're in the business case, you've committed to them, it's part of getting the investment. And if you're going to change one of them, that really is the grown-ups getting together on the investment committee or the investment authority to discuss that. But what we said was our level 1s and 2s, we'd effectively have a 3 month rolling baseline, in that horizon of 0 to 3 stuff was automatically baselined, and then every month as we brought in another month, that was automatically baselined. Anything beyond that 3 month kind of rolling baseline was effectively in draft and could be altered without having to need to go through the change control process, unless when you altered the draft it automatically said that there was a level 0 at risk. So stuff outside of the 3 months we had more of a draft view, and it just saved us so much time because we were going to be changing them anyway, and we had very little control over being able to change them because it was external forces that were doing it. And so we'd have just been wrapped up in doing change control process if we'd baselined the entire plan. So 0 to 3, absolutely change control that, because you drive discipline and you drive rigour into the programme, and you get your programme and project managers and people like that actually earning the money by recovering the plan. But post 3 months out, no, we just kept it as draft. And I also apply that thinking to levels 3 and 4 in my recent programs. I'm not really fussed about change control at that level. I'm fussed about when it impacts a level 2. I expect my project managers to be all over that, supported by the PMO at their level 3s and 4s, because ultimately that's what they're doing. So yeah, that's how I would structure it, and it's a model I like. It also links in a little bit to Agile in that with Agile you generally have your high level release plan or your roadmap, and you know more certainly what's happening in the short term, and you're able to tell people what's going on and communicate it, but you might not know what's going to happen in month 4, 5, 6, 12, 18, 20. You might have an idea, but you don't know for definite. So having that rolling view works well for both waterfall and Agile. What I'll talk about in the next episode is how risks, assumptions, issues and dependencies are the things that start to cause your plan to go out of kilter. And I'll talk about other different things we do to manage the impact on the plan from that perspective. But if we manage our raids better, as I said, then our plan is protected a little bit better, and the need to get involved in change control to the nth degree is avoided. So that's all for today. I've kind of rushed through the planning. There's plenty of links out there. Please do go and have a look. Google milestones, Google work breakdown structures, how to construct a plan, baselining, change control. There's tons of stuff out there. But for now, thank you all very much. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, please do like the video. Please hit the subscribe button. It helps us out because we're able to make more great content for you. Thank you.